My name is Susan Story, and before everything fell apart, before the cameras, the chaos, and the sentence that detonated the quiet order of my life, I lived a life built entirely by my own hands. I'm a civil engineering tech in Denver. It's not glamorous. Nobody grows up dreaming of calculating load paths or double-checking bridge specs at 2 a.m., but I love the work. It feels honest, solid, predictable, the kind of job where if you do it right, nobody dies. There's something strangely comforting about that. I bought my condo 3 years ago, during a market dip that lasted exactly 41 days. 850 square feet, 10th floor, a view of the mountains, when the weather decides to be kind. I paid $285,000 and put down 15%, money I earned by working 2 jobs through college, sleeping 4 hours a night, choosing rice and eggs over takeout, choosing the long way instead of shortcuts. Owning that place was the first time I felt like my life truly belonged to me. It was my name on the deed, my credit score behind the mortgage, my fingerprints on the walls, my groceries in the fridge, my rules shaping the space. My routine was simple, but it was mine. Wake at 6:10, gym by 6:40, coffee at 7:10, desk by 7:30, dinner at 7 p.m., bed by 11, unless a deadline kept me hostage. People called it boring. Stability doesn't photograph well, I guess. But after watching my dad restart his life every time rent went up, boring felt like the closest thing to safety. And then I met him, Ethan Palmer. It was a Tuesday morning, the kind where the sky looks like it hasn't slept either. I stopped at Copper Street Cafe for my usual black coffee. Ethan was there in the corner, ring light glowing like a halo, talking into a camera about mindset and morning rituals. Blonde hair, athletic build, voice smooth enough to sell anything. He had that confidence influencers always seem to be born with, the kind that fills a room without apology. He paused filming when he noticed me. "Hey, sorry, could you move just a little? You're in my background. Unless you want to be in my content?" He flashed a grin. I should have said no. I should have taken the coffee and walked away. But people like Ethan have gravity. You don't see it until you're already orbiting. We talked. At first I thought he was just charming. Then I realized he was good at charm. He told me about his platform, only 3,000 followers at the time, and how he was building a brand around fitness, wellness, and sustainable lifestyle. He had the voice, the smile, the camera-ready skin. He asked me what I did, and when I told him I worked in engineering, he leaned in like I'd said something fascinating. "That's amazing, Susan. You built a whole life for yourself. That's rare." We exchanged numbers. He texted before lunch. That Friday, we had dinner. Sushi, low lighting, high chemistry. He asked about bridges like he truly cared. I listened to him explain engagement metrics like they were stock portfolios. He had ambition, a plan, a momentum I wasn't used to. Dating him was like stepping into sunlight I didn't realize I'd been missing. He lived in a cramped one-bedroom he shared with a roommate who apparently hated deodorant. He filmed content wherever lighting was decent. Cafes, parks, my living room on nights he stayed over. And he stayed more and more often. It was cute at first, romantic even. He'd sweep in with new ideas for his channel. I'd help him adjust the lighting or troubleshoot his mic. He'd show me behind the scenes of the influencer world, the partnerships, the strategy, the endless pursuit of the perfect shot. I didn't mind. His world felt new and energetic. Mine was spreadsheets and structural reports. He made everything feel lighter. 10 months in, his lease ended and rent was jumping by 400s. "My roommate's impossible," he said one night, sprawled on my couch, editing a morning routine video. "Susan, it's insane to keep living there." I should have paused, should have thought harder. But love, or what looks a lot like love, makes you simplify complex equations. "We could try living together," I said. His smile was immediate, wide, relieved. "You're serious?" "Yeah, we're practically living together already." The suitcase came first, then the duffel bag, then 2 ring lights, a tripod, a softbox, 3 cameras, 2 mics, a box of supplements, and his laptop stand. Then the rest. My quiet, structured, predictable home slowly began to tilt. At first, it felt like clutter. Later, it felt like intrusion. And even later, it would feel like erasure. But that part comes soon enough. For now, it was still early. For now, Ethan was still the bright, exciting man who kissed me in the doorway and thanked me for trusting him. For now, I still believed love meant compromise. For now, I still believe my home could fit both of us. Ethan didn't move in with boxes. He moved in with an ecosystem. Within 3 weeks of living together, my minimalist condo started to look like an influencer's backstage area. His ring lights multiplied. His camera collection expanded. The living room, once my calm evening retreat, turned into a production zone. Tripods in the corners, backdrops draped over my bookshelf, cables taped to the floor in bright neon strips. My kitchen counters morphed into a supplement graveyard. Powders, serums, protein bars, collagen mixes, each labeled for a future review. My bathroom shelves disappeared beneath Ethan's skincare arsenal. Cleansers, toners, moisturizers, masks, with instructions that read like NASA launch orders. And then came them, the Hawks. Aiden, Brian, Luca, 3 hyperactive influencer friends who traveled in a pack and treated my condo like a co-working space with free snacks. They arrived with more cameras, more lights, collab energy, and bottomless egos. They filmed in my living room, brainstormed at my dining table, rearranged furniture for better framing. My couch got shoved against the wall. My coffee table became a tripod station. My dining chairs got moved so often I forgot where they originally belonged. Every time I came home from work, the door would swing open to the sound of male laughter echoing off my walls. "Oh, hey, Susan!" Aiden would shout without looking up from his camera. "We're just finishing a quick shoot," Luca would add, standing on top of my rug in shoes I'd repeatedly asked him to remove. Sometimes Ethan would be shirtless. Sometimes Brian would be blending something in my Vitamix. Sometimes they'd be arguing about which camera angle made their jawlines pop more. It felt invasive. Then it felt disrespectful. Then it felt like I was slowly disappearing from my own life. When I tried to talk to Ethan, he would pull me close and kiss my forehead gently. "Babe, you know this is temporary. I'm building something. We're building something. You're part of my team." Team. Funny how that word can feel like love one month and like possession the next. One Friday after work, I walked in to find my bedroom rearranged. My bed had been pushed against the wall to maximize natural light for Ethan's morning routine shoot. My bed, the one space that was supposed to be mine. "Ethan," I said slowly, trying to stay calm, "why is my bed against the wall?" He didn't even look up from adjusting his lens. "Oh, that? The Hawks and I needed to film a sunrise sequence." "In my bedroom?" He shrugged. "Lighting's better here." Something inside me tightened, a thread pulled taut. I moved the bed back that night, alone. Ethan was out celebrating a successful content day with the Hawks, but the real breaking point, the moment everything snapped, came a week later. It was supposed to be our weekend. I bought Avalanche tickets, $180. I booked a dinner reservation at an Italian place Ethan loved, another $150. I told him twice. He said it sounded amazing. He sent a heart emoji. I believed him. So when he walked out of the bedroom Friday morning with a packed duffel bag, my breath stalled. "We got invited to this A-frame cabin in Breckenridge," he said casually. "The guys and I are doing a wellness retreat collab. Last-minute opening. Great content opportunity." I blinked. "Ethan, our plans? The game? Dinner?" He waved a hand dismissively. "Oh, right, yeah, just sell the tickets or something." "Sell them?" I asked quietly. He finally looked at me, annoyed, like I was the one interrupting his plans. "Susan, you don't get to have opinions about my decisions," he said. "We're not married." The words didn't just hurt. They rewired something in me. He grabbed his bag and left with a quick kiss on my cheek. The door closed behind him, and the silence that followed wasn't empty. It was clarity, a cold, sharp clarity that settled into my bones. If I didn't get a say, then he wasn't getting a free pass. If my voice didn't matter, then his convenience didn't either. If we weren't married, then he didn't get husband privileges in my home. The weekend he left was the weekend I stopped being the version of myself he assumed would always bend. When Ethan left for Breckenridge, he thought I'd spend the weekend sulking, maybe texting him long paragraphs he could skim between filming sessions. He didn't think I'd spend it reclaiming every inch of the home he'd quietly taken from me. The clarity I felt wasn't rage, it wasn't heartbreak. It was precision. The same calm, methodical focus I used at work when checking structural calculations. Measure, evaluate, reinforce, correct. If Ethan believed my opinions didn't matter because we weren't married, then I was done offering him wife-level generosity while he acted like a guest who never planned to pay rent. Saturday morning, I started in the living room. Ring lights, unplugged, collapsed, and neatly boxed. Tripods, folded, zip-tied, and boxed. Soft boxes, backdrops, 3 cameras, all wrapped and stored. I labeled every single box. Ethan, content equipment. Not thrown away, not damaged, just removed from the center of my home. His powders, supplements, brand samples cluttering my counters. Boxed, labeled, moved. My kitchen island reappeared like I'd uncovered a forgotten artifact. Next came the smart home reset. When Ethan moved in, I added him to everything. The thermostat, the speakers, my streaming accounts, and worst of all, the smart lock. He had a code. The Hawks did too without my knowledge. So I removed it. Thermostat, reset. Smart speakers, disconnected. Streaming. His profiles deleted. Smart lock, new master code, and Ethan's code permanently disabled. Petty? Maybe. But boundaries aren't petty. They're necessary. Then I cleaned, deep cleaned. Every counter, every drawer, every shelf. The vinegar smell felt like a fresh start. After hours of restoring order, I went to Home Goods and bought one of those letterboard signs with changeable letters. When I placed it on the entry table, the message read, House Charter, quiet hours after 10 p.m. Guests by invitation only. Shared space equals shared consent. Respect the owner, respect the home. No yelling, no passive-aggressive comments. Just clear terms for a non-married, non-cohabitation contract he apparently wanted. By the time Ethan returned from Breckenridge, 3 days later, my condo looked like my condo again. Clean, quiet, calm. He stepped inside and froze in the doorway. What happened to the living room? He asked. I put it back where it belongs, I said, not looking up from my laptop. Where's all my equipment? In the hall closet, everything is boxed and labeled. He blinked hard. You boxed up my work things? I boxed up items that were taking over shared areas of my home. His jaw clenched. Susan, this is our home. I shut my laptop. Ethan, I said evenly, you told me I don't get to have opinions because we're not married. That means this isn't our home. It's my home, and you're a guest who hasn't been paying rent. Color drained from his face before anger rushed in to replace it. So you're punishing me because I worked this weekend? I'm setting boundaries, I said calmly. The thing adults in real relationships do. He opened his mouth but stopped when he noticed the letterboard. He walked over, read it, and laughed, sharp, disbelieving. A house charter? Are you serious? You're treating me like I'm, a tenant? You're not my husband, I replied. So yes, we're clarifying expectations. He stared at me, stunned, not angry, confused, like he was seeing someone he didn't recognize. Over the next week, he tested every boundary. Test number 1. The Hawks arrived Tuesday night with camera bags. I stepped into the hallway, blocking them. No filming tonight, I said. Aiden scoffed. Ethan lives here. And I own this home, I replied. Guests by invitation only. You can't just... Try me. They left, grumbling. Ethan trailed behind them, embarrassed. Test number 2. He tried to film while I was working. Ethan, I'm on a call. 5 minutes, babe. Just a quick routine. No. He stopped. Test number 3. He tried to change the thermostat from his phone. Access denied. Then things escalated. One Thursday afternoon, I came home to the door slightly ajar. Inside, Ethan and 5 influencers, filming in my living room. Lighting blazing. My furniture moved. Ethan on my couch, fake crying for a camera. They were filming a dramatic reel about breaking free from controlling partners. In my home, without my permission. Using me as content. I didn't raise my voice, didn't throw anything, didn't cry. I simply picked up my phone and called building security. Hi, Paul. It's Susan in 10B. I need help removing unauthorized individuals from my unit. 5 minutes later, 2 guards arrived. You all need to leave now, Paul said. Ethan stood up. We have permission. No, I said softly. You don't. Aiden tried to film the confrontation. Paul shut that down instantly. One by one, they filed out, Ethan last. He paused in the doorway, eyes wide, breath shaking. What are you doing, Susan? What you told me to do, I replied. Act like we're not married. The door closed. Behind it, Ethan's carefully curated life began to crack. And he had no idea the worst was still coming. When Ethan walked out of my condo that night, stunned, humiliated, and suddenly without an audience, he didn't even try to talk. He just left with the Hawks trailing behind him like deflated balloons. I thought that was the end of it. But influencers don't disappear quietly. They rebrand, they rewrite, they perform. The next morning, I woke to a notification storm. Ethan had posted a long, moody Instagram reel, soft piano music, slow transitions, him staring out a window like a widowed Victorian woman. The caption read, "Sometimes the people closest to you show their true colors. Never let anyone diminish your growth. Choose peace. Choose yourself." Thousands of likes, hundreds of comments, and buried underneath, the implication that I was the controlling, toxic partner who smothered his dreams. I didn't respond. I didn't comment. I didn't post a counterstory. Silence, I learned, is its own statement. But the internet didn't stay quiet. 2 hours later, someone leaked the audio. Clear, sharp, unedited. "You don't get to have opinions about my plans. We're not married." The comment section turned instantly. "So she's the problem? Really? Bro literally said she doesn't get a say. Imagine using someone's home for free and acting superior." This ain't it, Ethan. Accountability is calling and he ain't picking up. By noon, he had lost 300 followers. By evening, 700. Brand partners started pulling out. 3 paused collaborations. 1 dropped him completely. What Ethan thought would be his triumphant narrative twist had become a public implosion. Reality didn't need editing. It needed honesty. And Ethan didn't have that. The building got quiet for a few days. I half expected screaming, begging, a desperate apology at my door, but Ethan stayed silent. Not out of grace, out of panic. Which is why the knock surprised me when it finally came. He stood there alone, no camera, no ring light, no hawks. Just Ethan, in sweats, eyes swollen, face unshaven. "Can I come in?" he asked. I nodded. He stepped inside like someone entering a hospital waiting room. Unsure, fragile, ashamed. We sat on opposite ends of the couch, the same couch he'd shoved against the wall for better angles. "I lost over 600 followers," he said quietly. 3 brands froze my contracts. 1 dropped me. I waited. I didn't comfort him. He swallowed. "Someone leaked the audio." "I know. It ruined everything." "No, Ethan, you ruined everything." He looked down at his hands. Hands that had held cameras more lovingly than they ever held me. "I needed you to be the villain," he whispered, "for the story to work, for the brand to pity me." There it was, the ugly truth spoken out loud. "You lied about me," I said. "I didn't think the audio would get out," he admitted. "I thought people would take my side like they always do." The guys said, "Please don't," I cut in. "Don't blame the hawks. Don't blame the brands. Don't blame your followers. You made choices, Ethan." He leaned back, exhausted. I know, his voice cracked. "I got caught up in all of it. Content, growth, likes. And somewhere, I stopped seeing you as a person. You became part of the backdrop, part of the brand." Funny thing about honesty, it hurts, but it also cleans. "I'm sorry," he said, voice small. "Not for the internet, not for the brand. I'm saying it to you." For the first time in months, Ethan wasn't performing. And maybe in another timeline, another version of our lives, that apology would have cracked open something softer in me. But in this version of our lives, clarity had already taken root. "I accepted a 6-month engineering contract," I told him. "Montreal, I leave in 2 weeks." His head snapped up. "What? Susan, what does that mean for us? It means I'm moving. It means new tenants will take this condo. It means I'm choosing myself." He stared at me like he was hearing his house collapse. "I messed up," he whispered. "I know I did. But I can fix it. We can go to therapy. I'll delete the content. No, Ethan, you don't need to fix anything. Just learn from it." Tears appeared, real ones, not filmed ones. "I really did care about you," he said softly, "at least before it became about everything else." "I cared about you too," I replied. "Maybe I still do a little, but caring isn't enough when respect isn't there." We sat there in silence. 2 people who once loved each other, now separated by something more permanent than a fight. When he finally stood, he didn't ask for another chance. He just nodded. "I'll pack my things," he murmured. "Leave the key on the counter," I said. He paused at the door. "Susan, thank you for not being worse to me than I deserved." And then he left. The next 2 weeks were quiet. I packed for Montreal, signed the lease to a sweet young couple moving into my condo, ate one last dinner with Mrs. Green, who hugged me like a daughter. "Remember," she said over tea, "the right person won't make your world smaller, only wider." On Sunday morning, I rolled my suitcase to the elevator, locked the condo behind me for the last time. The click of the deadbolt echoed down the hallway. Sharp, clean, final. Sometimes freedom